I will cause the industry to change by making it so that CPM is not the industry standard and have the AGC, the AIA, and everybody accept other systems and dethrone CPM by the time I die. So that families can be together because we actually have systems that can help us plan and schedule.
That is Mr. Spencer Easton. I don't know if you can tell, but he got some passion going on. He came to us live. He was out in the parking lot at Home Depot. So there's going to be a little bit of real life audio going on in the background. And we also got a little surprise for you. Mr. Rene Caterpillar Duron has returned after making all that extra cash on overtime. He's back in effect. Super happy to have him here. I missed him deeply and really missed he just has a real innocent way of asking really, really important questions. And they're for him. Like he's trying to learn. But I think the knowledge he draws from our guests are really going to serve a lot of people out there. And Spencer Easton comes with tremendous amount of experience, expertise, and just straight up love for life and love for people. I'm hoping that Spencer's message has the same impact on you that it did on me because it's pretty damn profound. He's challenged me to try to be a better dude. Of course, we got to shout out our patrons that have been supporting us. And you may have seen some of the snippets that we're putting out there. You'll be seeing some of it on YouTube here in the near future. We've definitely upgraded, and that's not me. That is not my editing skills. That is because our patrons have helped us finance and shop out the editing and enhance the images and some other really cool stuff. So thank you to our patrons and anyone else that wants to sign on up, baby. Come on, patreon.com/learnings and missteps. Any level that you sign up for will get you access to that fans only content, baby, the L&M backstage pass. So I'm going to stop jabbing my jaw. And here we go with Mr. Spencer Easton. What's going on, L&M family? Here we are with Mr. Spencer Easton. And we've got the man with no name that's been absent for several months. We got Rene back. What's going on, Rene?
What's up, L&M? I'm still alive. Still alive.
Still alive. And we got Spencer, man, super dedicated, out there at the Home Depot in the parking lot, sharing a beautiful skyline with us. Look at that. Spencer, so man, dude, it's been a while, and I'm glad that you've been patient with us finally getting you on the show. I mean, we've done some of the live streams with Felipe and the rest of the crew. I was super eager to get you here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing. You know, you've had some pretty big heavy hitters on your show recently, so I've been waiting my turn and actually enjoying a lot of the folks. You know, having Joe Donnarumma and Felipe and Jennifer Lacey. I mean, these guys are phenomenal, and it's been great to hear all the great content that you guys have been producing. And I want to say, you know, from everybody out there, congratulations on the 1 year anniversary.
Yes.
I'm doing the clap. There's a lot of people out there clapping too. So congratulations. What you guys are doing is making a difference. So I'm excited to be here and be part of the LNM movement, right?
Yes, sir. So Spencer, it's special because yes, we have wrapped up our first full year, and you mentioned that we've had some pretty big players up on this podcast, and for me, Spencer, you're absolutely one of them. And so to be able to kick
Thank
off
you.
the first episode for our second year out of the gate is with Spencer Easton, baby. We're gonna jump on that Takt train and kill it. What do you say?
Woo-hoo. Yep, for sure.
I'm going to ask you a question. Spencer Easton, what should the L&M family know about you?
I'm a typical guy in construction. Got into it when I was really young. My dad was in construction, and so obviously I was the hired help from the time I can remember. We did side jobs so that we could do things in life, right? We went to Disneyland because we did 3 or 4 little side construction jobs with my dad, where he was the general contractor and we were the hired help, right?
Mhm.
So payment was the ticket to
Disneyland.
Disney.
Yep.
Love it.
So, yep, that's how I made my childhood memories is working in construction and having fun with family. So, I started working high school and throughout college I was working in construction and labor, concrete form setter, operator, just general whatever. Ooh, camera whipped out. So I'm sitting there in California, in Roseville, California, in a porta-john. Super hot, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like 20 some odd years old, and I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, there has to be more to life than this. I am not gonna rack my body for the rest of my life. I'm done. And because I didn't like the environment, I didn't like being treated like an animal. Like I was like, this is just like I feel like there's more to life, and So I started going back to school. I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I ended up going into construction management.
Nice.
Throughout my schooling and career, various jobs. I was a project engineer. I was a draftsman. I did estimating. I was head of logistics and dispatch for a large crane company. All these different things. And then I landed at a large general contractor because they needed help in their scheduling department. And I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So just like Rene, I was like, what the heck is, you know what I mean? But I learned a little bit about CPM in my CMT bachelor's degree. And so I was like, okay, so let's go try this out. And I started off on some smaller projects, and this was for Oakland Construction. They do about $2 billion a year, and I started to notice that my job didn't mean anything because I would go to the different projects, and the teams would work with me to build this schedule, right? These are the things that has to happen on the project. This is how we're going to manage it. And I kept hearing these little comments back and forth of, hey, thanks for coming, but no one's going to read this schedule anyway. And I was like, why are we doing it, right? And then I started listening to what the actual trade contractors were saying. I don't understand how to read this, and so I wanted to help them understand it. So I was like, okay, well let me show it to you, and I would start like talking to them about it once I kind of learned how the system worked, and everyone just kind of glazed over, and I was like, you know what? These guys are focused on their craft and their work. They don't want to have to learn this other thing that is like my skill set. I was like, huh. So I started like searching for how can we make this better, because no one knows how to read or use this thing, and it's the tool that's like standard out there. And I was like,
yeah.
so that's what kind of led me to lean in all these different things. But I worked my way up at Oakland and ended up being scheduling department manager. So all the different schedulers. By the time I left, there was 18 of us. When I started, there was 3. And about 6 months in, I had 33% of all schedules at Oakland Construction.
Wow.
And that's a bad place for Oakland to be. So by the end, when I left, the reason why I left is because it doesn't work. And I couldn't continue supporting that career. And that's the one thing that I wanted to tell the audience, the Learning and Missteps audience. Are you doing the things that you really believe in life? And I couldn't continue down a path. And I was set up to be, in a very cush job. I was going to be scheduling director, all this stuff. And I left that because I believe in what y'all are doing. I believe in what Elevate Construction, all this lean stuff that is happening. It is the way. it is the path forward because it helps you to do better and look at what are the processes that we're doing and how can we improve them, right? And create more value. So
Yes.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I love it. And honest to God, it's been a blessing jumping ship and coming to the dark side and living the dream. And so we're having fun. I now work with Jason Schroeder at Elevate Construction. Me and him started a company called Lean Takt. And Takt is a scheduling system that is, in my opinion, 50 times better than CPM. So we're trying to help spread the word about what Takt is and what Takt does, and there you go. So there's the answer to your question.
I love it. Beautiful answer. And you said coming to the dark side, which is this lean, collaborative, visual, just got different way of functioning, right? This new the lifestyles of the lean and famous, to quote Miss Jennifer Lacey. But I saw Rene his brain got a little twisted when you said CMT and CPM. Am I speaking out of turn, Rene?
No. So that glazed over look that you were talking about when you're explaining, that's me right now. So I'm like, so explain to me, if you can, how you would explain to that construction contractor about CPM or this scheduling and all that stuff. I don't know what you're talking about.
So CPM stands for critical path method or
Okay.
critical path management. And what a critical path is when you schedule out, let's say, a project or a set of tasks, right? The idea is that you list the things that need to be done. Pour concrete, or let's say slab on grade, concrete walls, steel roof. Like you go through and you say, these are the activities, right? You link those together, i.e. meaning you sequence this thing first, then this thing second. And it does math to figure out what the longest or most important path of things to complete are, so that you don't extend the duration of all of those things happening correctly in time. Meaning if it's 10 days for concrete, 10 days for steel, and 10 days to finish everything else out, that's a 30-day schedule, and that's your critical path, right? But if any one of those things extends longer, the duration of your overall project is going to be longer. So it was a method to try to understand a complex project, and it's not just construction, a complex project that has activities, linking them together, and then it does this calculation to figure out what the overall duration is so that you can track those things and complete on time. The thing is, it's very convoluted. The software programs are hard to use, and when it prints, it's like lines of data, and so it's hard to visualize anything. So when I managed the schedule for a religious temple in Washington, D.C., and it was a 250-page schedule. It was 11 by 17 pages.
Jeez.
250 pages of just data, and it basically has like the information, and then it has like a little bar chart, but it's just a bar representing the duration of that activity. So you have this huge list of stuff, and then you flip a page, just this huge list of stuff. It's like a task list. If you were to create a to-do list for every single activity that needed to happen to build a building, that's what it looks like. And so it's like, okay, it's just like it washes over folks. So for me to try to explain that, it's like, okay, this activity right here, this install drain, waste, and vents, Mr. Plumber. This is your activity. So here's the day it starts, here's the day it finishes, and you just look at me, okay, what does that mean to me? And so it was just too much information, and so that's what I see as the problem with it, is like what Jesse was saying. It's not visual, and you can't understand it. In construction, we look at all the line items of what money we're spending, right? We bought this pipe, we rented this ordeal, right? If you go through and look at the whole expense report of just line data and give that to the owner and say, these are all the things that we're spending. It doesn't mean a lot. But if you put together bar charts or, pie charts or, different things to try to help explain what it is, all the data is saying, that is the quantum leap that we're trying to take from CPM to a Takt schedule. So initially I was trying to take CPM and compile it into something that was more visual for folks, and it never seemed to help.
That's awesome. Real life, baby.
That is real life. Well, when
Nice.
you're at the Home Depot, I mean, this is what we do.
This is good.
And in construction, this is just like out of the job site. You hear stuff all around. Yeah, that's great. So, Rene, when you ask, or Jesse, I forget who asked, how would you explain it to a trade contractor? Currently, I wouldn't try to, because I think the system is just super flawed, and to me, it's dead. I actually tell people when we get on trainings and different things that I'm a recovering CPM addict. So if you ever hear me say CPM, it's just traditional scheduling tools that happen to be the standard across our industry, mostly because it's in contracts. But there you go.
Yeah, it's like a client-driven. Yeah. It's less than simple. And when we're out on a job site, we got a lot of complexities to deal with. And when we add complexity, it takes away from the mission, which is to build the damn building.
Yes. One thing that I like that you just talked about, it was on your collabo session with the Lean Builder folks. You guys were actually talking about CPM, and I really had a lot of respect for the answer that, I forget if it was Joe or...
It was probably Keon, maybe?
Yeah, it might have been Keon. So, or maybe it was you. I forget who it was, but you guys were talking. It's like, well, I don't like having is CPM like a valuable tool conversation, because we have a respect issue in our industry. And I was like, oh, damn, that is the most important problem, right? I just have a hard on for getting rid of CPM, because I was in the club, and all the CPM gurus out there, they've taken a hold of the industry, and hot damn, it makes me so mad, because when you work with these folks, that they're great folks, but they make it sound like it's this magical thing that it's really hard, and you would have to really become an expert to understand it, right? And once I got into the system and kind of like figured it out, I was like, this isn't really hard. It's just really complex, like anything, right? Like becoming like anything, like the trades or anything else. And so I was like, no, and so I started teaching people CPM. I was like, no, it's really simple. And there were a few people that got mad at me because I was like getting superintendents to take the schedule over and be like, I shouldn't be running it. Like, the superintendent should be running the schedule. And that's when I interviewed at Oakland, I wanted to be either a project engineer or a field engineer. And they're like, no, with your background, we think you could do scheduling. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a career path. What? And so I happened to fall into this role and learn this system and these tools. And it was really interesting to see how the people that have the hold on this tool in the industry that's kind of holding everybody at bay, they're not willing to share with folks and improve it, and they find a lot of self-worth in the role that they're fulfilling. I think we still need these folks, just not doing that thing, because that thing is not adding value in our industry. So that's where I'm at.
Agreed. And you're right. We did, Keon, Joe, myself, Felipe, on that collabo call. We were talking about CPM and last planner system, and I don't remember who said it, but we all agreed. We absolutely have a respect problem in our industry. And if we're going to if I'm going to exert any energy on anything, it's going to be that. Like we need to correct that. And that's part of the reason for these for the Learnings and Missteps podcast, right? Is to enhance the image of careers in the trades by interviewing amazing people like you, like Spencer. Your
Thank you.
energy and you're just genuine and real. Like, come on, baby. Like, this is what it's about. From the epiphany, from the porta potty epiphany to where you're at now, that's amazing. So, if reflecting back before the porta potty epiphany, what were your earliest career aspirations?
Hmm. I've I, I've been such a mess.
Yeah.
This is going to be the hardest question that I'll have to answer on this podcast. My I The youngest that I can remember, I wanted to be a chiropractor. I don't remember why,
Okay.
but I wanted to be a chiropractor. And then when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a musician. I played in a rock band. I had long black hair.
What instrument did you play?
I was a drummer. I could pick up any instrument and play it, but everyone played guitar and I didn't want to be a sellout, so I was like, I'm gonna be a drummer. I play ukulele really good, but bass guitar, like you name it. I picked up the trumpet and started I loved music, right? So I barely graduated high school, but I graduated with an enhanced diploma in music.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's something I don't tell everybody. So I wanted to be a musician, then I figured out you can't really make money unless you don't have a family, and that wasn't a thing for me. So
Yeah.
because I wanted a family, it's like, nope, that's gone. So I sold everything, and that's actually how I bought my wife's wedding ring. I had an electronic drum set and another drum set, and I sold all that and bought my wife's wedding ring. So
Wow.
Nice.
That's
yeah,
commitment, bro.
that's how I live my life, right? It's like if this doesn't serve me, screw it. I'm not gonna have it in my life, and that that I guess that's been my problem with trying to find what career I wanted to go into, because I was like, I like a lot of things in life. I love life. And so it was hard for me to pick something and go with it. So I've kind of gone down different career paths. Like, do I want to do this? Nope, it's dead to me now. Do I want to do this? Nope, it's dead to me now. So
Hmm.
Nice. But here's what I want the L&M family to latch on to. Rene, can you tell how joyful and energized Spencer is?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, you're living life with glee, and it's not the result of committing to one damn career path and going down the line and going up the ladder. It's finding what serves you, to use your words, what serves you, and pursuing that until the finish line, and then whatever's next is next. Like,
mhm.
that's a powerful message, Spencer. And I, I'm I don't even know if the word impressed even covers what I'm experiencing. Like, that's not easy. Like, you were scheduling, you've got your Takt company with Mr. Jason Schroeder. Like, these are big leaps. These aren't like, I'm going to start something on the side. You're like, I'm doing this, done. I'm selling the drums, doing this, done. Next. Like, that's pretty damn courageous, my friend.
So Jason, in his boot camps, he has a quote by Helen Keller, and she said, I'm gonna botch this because I don't have it like down, but life is a daring adventure. There's no, what is it? Security or certainty is a misconception or something. Life is either a daring adventure or it's nothing. Like, it's like this
Oof.
like crazy. It's like this crazy like mic drop. I wish I had it. If one of you has a computer, you should look it up and actually say the quote. But that's what hit me super hard when I started going to Jason's boot camps is life. We all think that what we're doing, gives us this security, but when we step out of our comfort zone, that's when we can grow. Recently, we went to Germany and
Yes.
we met so many amazing people. And it's because we got out of our shells and we said, what is out there that can teach us and expand our knowledge. And when you do that, you can make these quantum leaps if you ask the questions, if you're willing to walk outside of your comfort zone. And that to me has been how I always kind of live my life, which is what kind of bonded me and Jason together, and other folks like you and others that are willing to try new things and do hard things in life that help us elevate to our next levels.
Absolutely.
If we can't do that, I can't imagine life just, you know, flicking through the TV channels and just sitting on the couch and just living life so you can just die like that. What a I get depressed thinking about that type of stuff. So I love listening, learning, improving. Like that to me is heaven on earth, is continuous improvement. So even
Yes.
before lean, I was always looking for like processes and how they work, and well, what can we do to tweak it, right? And lean gave me actual framework to actually
do that.
Yeah. I
Yes.
was like, there's
Yes. So the quote is, life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Woo! I get chills just reading that. Son of a gun. So these boot camps I've heard are pretty darn transformative for folks when they attend. Adam Hoots has spoken well of them. Spencer, you too. I have yet to partake in one, or actually, what I've got on my board is to jump in your Takt masterclass, or I'm not sure. I'm probably, what's the name of the one, the 2-day deal y'all got?
So we just finished one yesterday. It was the first one where Jason and I didn't do it together. So I was flying solo, and it's called the Takt Fundamentals course. It's an online course, and by the end, if you go through and participate, if you go implement it out in the field and actually try Takt out in the field and use the system, you can get what we call the Takt Master certification. So it's kind of like Scrum Master, but you're Takt Master, right? We've been offering that for 3 months now, and we've trained just over 100 people in those trainings. So it's going really well, getting lots of real good positive feedback. And the good thing that we like to tote about this is every time people try it, it always works. So anyone out there that wants to come try a real scheduling system, come try it, because it works.
And also, if you do, rather, when you start researching it and looking it up, sign up fast, because the classes fill up super fast. I mean, from my
they actually do.
yeah, they fill up quick. I'm like, son of a gun. Okay, well, let me see what I can, someday I'll get in there.
Well, and both of you, I'll give you a plug, not necessarily for Takt, but I'll give you a plug for something else. This is a very shameless plug because I work at Elevate, but this is honestly very important and almost spiritual to me. When I was at Oakland, before me and Jason met, he hired on to Oakland, and he started doing something called Field Engineer Boot Camp.
Yep.
And I was like, I've always wanted to be a field engineer. I want to learn I want to learn the skills. So I signed up at Oakland. They're like, you want to come? I was like, yeah, I got to know these things, right? If I'm going to help teams, I should know what everybody does. So through going to college, I served a 2-year mission down in Mexico, a religious 2-year mission down in Mexico. I've been on, different boards and different things, and of all the accomplishments that I've done or things that I've been through, that has been the most impactful thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
The 5 days that I went through Field Engineer Boot Camp changed me as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a leader, as a manager, as a construction worker. It was more than just a technical training. I've never ever been to a training like that in my life, before or since.
Wow.
Field Engineer Boot Camp is I believe, the best training on the planet. Jason's been doing it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
He started doing it when he was at Hetzel Phelps. You guys know this. You interviewed him. And honestly, anybody out there, it is the most transformative training I have ever been to. And really, the decision that led me to leave Oakland and helped me get courage, because it's one thing to like sell your drum set and buy your wife's wedding ring. It's one thing to like go to different classes in college and be like, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? But it's another thing when you have a wife and a kid and kids and a home to leave your career into the unknown, into a startup that's less than 100 days old.
Yes.
That courage came from field engineer boot camp.
Son of a gun. Well, there
Mic
it
drop.
is, people. Mic drop. Check it out. You signing up, Rene?
Yeah, dude, sign me up right now.
Yeah. When he says sign me up, he means I sign him up and I pay for it. That's what he means.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Oh man.
Oh,
Oh man.
this is
Yeah,
good.
Jason's doing one the beginning of December, so we already have a list of people. It's going to be awesome. So
Good. Well, I'm hoping the L&M family, not hoping, I trust that some of the L&M family members are going to hear it and they're going to jump on the website and check it out and get some of that darn courage and inspiration, because there's just not enough of that out there, right? I mean, that's
No.
another thing. I see your post, I see like the whole crew, right? The construction change makers crew. I don't see anybody posting negative, detractive stuff. Everybody's posting positive, reinforcing, forward thinking, motivational, like real stuff. And we got to keep doing that. And Spencer, I'm telling you, man, the energy that's coming through, I'm surprised the internet hasn't shut down, because you're breathing it, baby. I'm digging it. So, and all of that was just to butter you up, Spencer, because I'm going to ask you the tough question.
Ooh, this is the good one.
Yes, the fans only content. The title of the podcast is Learnings and Missteps, and some folks are like, Jesse, that's a weird name. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, yeah, well, in my life, and Rene's been a witness to it, and also the catalyst to me getting my stuff together. And so I have the opportunity to serve my community in a pretty deep and meaningful way. But that's a result of a lot of missteps, a lot of poor, short-sighted decisions that I took tons of learning from. And that's gotten us to this point here. And so what I'd like to know is, what is a learning that you've had in your life that resulted from a pretty painful misstep?
So my biggest misstep and learning because of a misstep has been kind of twofold, and it's kind of a misstep of me and a misstep of my father.
Oh yeah, I'm back, crashing that party, baby. This little cutout is going to be fans only content. You can get it by signing up at patreon.com/learnings and missteps. Any level gets you that backstage pass, and the higher level you go, the sweeter the bennies are. So appreciate y'all hanging in there, and here we go with the rest of the show. That's amazing, Spencer. I appreciate you being so transparent and vulnerable with us, and the way you're celebrating life. And Rene is a young father with 2 little babies. So I wonder, do you have any pointers for him?
Yes, please let me ask. I have so many questions right now. So thank you for sharing that, because I feel like that speaks to me personally. Like you mentioned, oh man, I've been totally guilty of being bitter and, you know, just, I guess, maybe not being the most present and happiest father that I could be at times when the work calls me to be there more than the 40 hours a week. So what would you say? And in my company, I work for San Antonio Water System. I loved my time here. I love it. I'm super blessed to have this job. But there is that other side of the coin where the work is demanding, and we deal with a lot of emergency calls. We deal with water, and people have to have water to survive. So sometimes you gotta go when you gotta go. And what would you say to the young fathers trying, maybe they feel stuck in the hamster wheel of trying to really bust ass and really kind of be Johnny on the spot to get to that next level in their company, and sacrificing their relationship with their family? How do you balance that?
That's a really good question. It's easier said than done for sure. The most important thing to me is family, period, and case in point. So if I have to compromise on something, it's gonna be work for me because family is most important. You talk about what do you do in those situations? I feel like there can be good fathers in emergency type roles. I believe the hardest thing to do is have open, honest, transparent conversations with the management of those types of services, saying that I don't feel like I'm a good father because I feel like I have to be here and I want to do a good job for this water service, whatever it is. I mean, think about all the electricians out there. Like, people have to have power. Like, there's a lot of, and even I think all people in construction feel that way, right? And I think you're kind of an exception, Rene. That like, without water, we all die, right? So like, yes, for
Yeah.
sure. And thank you for your service, by the way. We all appreciate you. So I'm not saying quit your job, but have the open, hard conversation with your employer, saying, I feel like I'm not a good father because of this schedule. Is there anything that we can do, and come with some options? Because any good person would be willing to listen and try to help in that type of situation. Trying to have those hard conversations would be number one. Number two, I'm actually gonna do a little visual ordeal. Every time that I get in a vehicle now, I think of one thing because of a person that you guys should meet, Brandon Montero. Brandon Montero, every time he gets in a vehicle, he looks at himself in the mirror, and you can see my reflection. And he looks at himself and he says, are you giving 100%? And every time he looks in the mirror, he looks at that mugshot and he says, are you giving 100%? And he talks about how with his girlfriend, when he goes and he picks her up and he opens up the door for her, and then he shuts it. As he shuts it, the door closes and the window's sitting right there. And he thinks to himself, am I giving 100%? Meaning, like you said, Rene, am I present in this moment, giving her my attention because I'm here with her? Am I on my phone doing LinkedIn? Am I doing these other things? Or am I there for her, living our lives, showing her what she means to me? It's the same thing with our children. When you get home and you go to open up that front door, if there's a window or something, or when you get out of your vehicle and you look at yourself in that rear view mirror, ask yourself every single time, am I about to walk in that door and grab these little kids that need a dad that picks them up, rolls around with them on the ground, has fun, and they just love their daddy, right? Are you about to show up and give 100% or not? Because your kids know when you don't show up and give 100%. And if we show up as fathers and give 100%, they're going to have amazing childhoods. They're going to grow up to be better than we are. They probably will anyway, but you will have these memories to cherish, and they will too, for the rest of our lives. And that's what's the most important. Sitting here, I'm in Utah helping fix my dad's house that is kind of in a little bit of disarray because he's in construction. So there's a bathroom that's ripped apart, so I'm putting that back together and patching walls and different things. And I'm going through his garage, and he just has all this junk, right? And I don't remember any of this junk, right? Sheds and all these things, going through tools and just years of accumulation. None of that means anything. all the different times that he actually came home, was there, and was present, those are the memories, and those live on. And I remember them. I'm going to tell my children. And that's what meant a lot to him throughout his life, too. All the other stuff doesn't matter. It's those times that we show up and we give 100% that matter. Mic drop.
Wow, that's so good.
That's it.
I got some more questions for you.
Go for it.
Okay. So earlier you mentioned security, right? Some people will stay in a job because of this sense of security. So what would you say to somebody who, maybe I'm talking about like foremen and superintendents, that feel like they pigeonholed themselves into this foreman job or into this superintendent job for security, and they feel like they can't leave or they're afraid to leave because this is what they know? What would you say to them, that but they do feel like something's missing, that they can do more?
You can do more. And it's up here. There's nothing but yourself holding you back from achieving any amount of greatness in life. I don't know what else to say. That it always comes from a place of fear, not from a place of something that's helpful. There are certain things in life, we need certainty because, there's food and things that we have to survive, right? That's that survival thing. And that's what causes us to be fearful to start doing that, like scavenging, hunting, whatever, right? That's that mindset that's internal in all humans, right? And when we focus on giving, that's when it's selfless. And when you focus on the giving aspect of life, not what can I receive, what can I take, that's where your mindset shifts into, there is more that I can provide because I can give more, right? And think about it at work. These foremen, superintendents, and anyone out there that's listening, in your roles, you've been able to show that you can give a good quality product, that you can show up on time. These are all giving things, right? If you're going to lead a crew, that's a giving role and position, because you have to make sure others are being efficient and others have the things that they need. It is a giving role. And take it one step further. There is always more that we can do. Life always has more that we can learn or provide or give. And if you can give a little bit more value, you're a little bit more valuable. And so all of us, wherever we're at, we have not met potential. We have way more potential in us than we even understand. And that's coming from my religious beliefs. But there is way more that our brains can take in and give to others. There's way more that our hearts can take in and accept and give from others. So be willing to look for more and expect more out of life. Because if we keep operating in a place of fear, we will stay in the same place and not advance at all. There you go.
So the
Awesome.
problem is between your ears.
100%. 100%.
Thank you for sharing that. I know like a ton of people personally, just from the people I work with. I have a really good relationship with a foreman and a superintendent. I know when they hear this, it's gonna like change their lives. So hopefully they can really take this to heart.
I hope so.
100%.
And it is easy. It is easier said than done. But honestly, try it in a little, like in something that you can control. Test it out and try it. Try to give more. Try to do something and see what the outcome is. Like test it and try it. If you can look for maybe look for it. If you feel stuck, look for a different company that might be offering a little bit better opportunities, and go for it. Then you're not jumping into the unknown, but you're making that change, and you will learn more things if you go to different companies, right? If you stay in the same job, in the same position, in the same, you're only going to know what you know, and that's it. Versus if we continue to look for, what else is out there and continue to learn and grow and give, that's when we can achieve higher echelons, right? And then be able to give more. I mean, it's a continual path, and that's what I love about life. And I hope others out there can join the bandwagon, because life is all about continuous improvement and growth, baby.
That's it. And it's has a perpetual effect. Like, I swear, every amazing relationship and experience that I've had can be tracked back to me volunteering or giving my time for a cause or a specific, every single one of them. And
Yeah.
so it just grows and grows and grows. And I mean, hell, we got a podcast now, right? And we're talking to homeboy Spencer in Utah. Like, a year ago, I would have been looking at my computer, going through spreadsheets and stuff, like, this is amazing. That's where it all comes from. So beautiful. Well, Spencer, I think now we're going to come with the super simple question. What footprint do you intend to leave on the world going forward?
I will cause the industry to change by making it so that CPM is not the industry standard, and have the AGC, the AIA, and everybody accept other systems and dethrone CPM by the time I die, so that families can be together, because we actually have systems that can help us plan and schedule. And I support folks like you and Jason and Felipe that are so hyper focused on the respect for people side, so that we attack from the north and from the south, and we just kill this thing right here and right now. I will do that by the time I die.
Damn, I got
Nice.
chills again, Spencer. he ain't playing, dead serious, focus in the eye. That was
it's war, and I'm going to win. We are going to win.
yes. I can get behind you because of your purpose, right? The purpose is to get people home to their families, to give them their life back.
Yep.
I mean, come on. Is there any other reason?
I guess that kind of the plan or the details of how to get there goes way over my head, but I definitely will raise my hand to be the guy that would appreciate that. If you guys, if I can help in any way, I would love to. But I would be one of those people that would directly benefit from your plan. I'm the guy that has the family and the kids, that wants to get back to them.
Well, and so do I. And the more, and all of us are in this trying to help the industry change. And I still work late nights here and there, because I feel this drive to make sure that we are making that change. And I'm and Jesse too, right? We're in this, and we're supporting the teams that are trying their hardest to make sure that the projects out there in construction are efficient. They have the time and the tools and the things that they need. And so one thing I'll say about, well, what can we do? We were recently on the Lean Blogs, Lean in the Field conference, and me and Jason were able to share a time slot, and our topic was, you can't optimize what isn't stable. So you first have to stabilize, and then you can optimize. And that's, I believe, exactly what we've been talking about. The stabilize is that respect for people. Like, we have to have stable environments. We have to bring respect back for the workers. Like, I'm like really baffled on like what happened, because you look back at history, and like blue collar workers, it was this thing that you would aspire to. You would spend all this time learning the craft of these craftsmen and these workers that could just build beautiful, amazing things with their hands. And now it seems to be like this grunt worker. Like, it's like, honestly, everything around us was built by like the hands of the industry, right? And so it's like, I don't get why, like, the most prevalent thing, building, is is something that has lost respect, and so it's all about the stabilization. So anything that we can do to stabilize the industry and bring this respect back for this work is utmost important. And then we need to start optimizing, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in that optimization because the tools that we have to actually have enough time aren't working. So I'm focused there. Jesse's focused on respect for people, and together we will change this industry. And Rene, we need you. We need you to keep doing this podcast. We need you to show all the other fathers out there how to be a good dad. What if you started sharing little videos about, hey, this is how I was a good dad today? I would watch that every single day. What if you shared that with your coworkers or with people out there in the industry? They'd start feeling, oh my gosh, I need to be a better father. You would make a ripple in the industry. Rene, I'm actually going to challenge you. What will you do between now and Monday to be a better father?
That's really good.
What will you do between now and Monday to be a better father? You have all day Saturday, all day Sunday. You will have, I don't believe, unless there's water emergencies, you shouldn't have any excuses. What will you do? I'm not saying you're a bad father. We all can be better. So what will you do?
It's definitely going to have to deal with being.
I guess, what will you do?
I will turn off the phone and stop taking business calls that are not emergencies. How about that?
I love it. Done.
Done.
And you will be a better father this weekend because you have your phone off. I love that. What a beautiful thing.
Yes, and I'm headed over to play with my nephew and niece if they let me, because I'm a little rough. And I'm gonna check the damn phone, make sure it's off.
So everyone out there, the L&M family, we got to hold Rene responsible. The next podcast we should be hearing, Rene, how did you do with your commitment? Were you able to keep the phone off? And share with us how did it make an impact? We want to know. I actually feel guilty because you say that. I'm like, dang it, I need to do that, right? So you're already doing it. You sharing like what you're going to do is helping others be better fathers. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Man, this is amazing. Spencer, holy moly. Like I knew this was gonna be fire, but you brought it today. Committed, you made a commitment, you followed through, you're at Home Depot, you've got significant life changes going on, and you're still walking the walk, my man. I mean, if there's any example out there for the youngsters in the L&M family, I think you're a fabulous example, a great representation of what the type of people, the heart and the passion that is in our industry. They're not all a bunch of grunts. Some of them are magical, like Spencer here. So did anything we miss, any important point that you wanted to get across and put out there in the airways, Spencer?
No.
Good.
I think we had some great conversations about some really hard topics and had some fun. And I'll end by saying on we go, because that's what we always say at Elevate Construction. But thank you guys so much for having me on and taking the time. I'm honored to be on the podcast and be part of this. And I love and I support you guys. Anyone that's listening, hit subscribe, hit the like buttons, watch the little videos. Every Monday, I love getting a hug from Jesse. It is my favorite thing to get a hug from Jesse. So jump on board, subscribe, get on YouTube. If you're smart, you'll start supporting him by jumping on his Patreon. Is there a link or something, Jesse, that they can get onto?
Yeah, patreon.com/learnings and missteps. Thank you for that. Man, talk about
it'll be a huge return on investment. I promise you. These guys are bringing amazing value. You need to listen to this podcast.
Damn it, I'm cutting that out and running that separately. Are you fired up today?
Yeah, dude.
There you
awesome.
go.
All right, my brother. Spencer, love you, man. And I appreciate your time. And if you get stuck working on doing any of that plumbing repairs you're doing, give me a shout. Yeah, I'm happy to offer whatever direction I might be able to. So we just talked to Mr. Spencer Easton, Rene. What did you get out of the conversation?
I got some guilt for not being as enthusiastic. Yes. I got motivation. I feel exhorted after that. You know, I feel like there's more that I can be doing, and I feel like I can be more present with my family and get my head back in the game of what really matters.
What does exhorted mean? That's a fancy word.
So I feel like like corrected with love. The word exhort is exhortation from the Bible, and in the Bible it says to exhort with love and patience. So a lot of the verses speak to you in such a way that corrects you and makes you aware of maybe your shortcomings, but with love and patience. It's not a harsh criticism. And I feel like this conversation with Spencer was an exhortation on myself. Like, not, it was a correction, but he does it in such a gentle, influential way. And I think it's going to be the start of a good, positive change for me and my fatherhood.
Wow. That's a hell of a shout out that you're giving to our buddy Spencer Easton.
Yeah, I mean, he earned it.
Well, in line with shout outs, I want to shout out one of the L&M faithful, Mr. Steve Turner, who is the rocket fuel, the energy, the rock behind Bring Back the Trades. He's got a nonprofit out there that raises money, that offers scholarships to men and women that are seeking to educate themselves towards beginning a career in the trades. Is that like sweet or what, Rene?
That's dope. That's really cool.
I had a conversation. He's going to be on the show. I got a commitment from him. We're going to get him. So he had given us feedback early on. And he said, I've actually been listening to them and I love them. I love that it's real tradespeople you are interviewing. I'm working really hard to get the younger individuals energized about the trades and letting them know that college isn't their only choice. And so he sells the Bring Back the Trades. They sell all kinds of swag to raise funds for this scholarship program. And I got my Bring Back the Trades plumber ball cap right here. He's a phenomenal dude. He's going to be running a 200 plus mile run in the desert here in a couple of weeks. Like, he's straight up gangsta OG. So shout out, Steve. Love what you're doing out there. Love that there's another kindred spirit out there making changes for our industry and introducing men and women to the amazing place that this can be. Also, Spencer, thank you for lighting a fire and shining a light in such a gracious way on our shortcomings. And to the rest of the L&M family, love y'all. This year 2, baby. Year 2, we're still alive. We're going to keep it coming. So we'll talk at you next time.
Peace.
Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You have been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.